Darius Cole, a black man in a tailored suit, stands motionless beside his overturned silver sedan, hands high while two white officers scream, pistols leveled, flashlights scorching his eyes in the Texas desert dark. Blood trickles from a temple gash where a baton splits skin. He slices through their shouting, "You're digging your own graves!" Officer Travis Harlan spits a vile slur and cocks his weapon. The other's aim shakes. Darius smirks. "You have no idea who I am." Headlights bloom far off. Salvation or doom. 12 hours earlier, he was just driving home. 12 hours before the desert chaos flipped Darius Cole's world. He cruised his silver sedan through the sun-baked fringes of El Paso. A man who finally believed he'd earned a breath. The sky bruised purple, the sun recently sunk, a fading orange smear behind jagged mesas. 40 miles west of the city, Highway 80, stretched lonely and straight, scrub and prickly pear-clawing dust. Heat still leaned on everything. He nudged the vents. Cool air whispered. Coltrane crackled from a Houston station, saxes soothing the engine's low growl. Darius kept a strict 55, right on the limit, because he never invited mistakes. 6'2", shoulders built by years of grit, voice that could still a conference room. He wanted quiet more than anything. After months dismantling a cartel pipeline from Juarez to the Gulf, he craved one weekend off. At 46, 22 years wearing a badge, he pictured a backyard grill, a thick ribeye hissing, a cold shiner in hand, crickets singing, stars pricking the pines beyond Houston. He'd faced mobsters and senators, kept it clean, earned respect the hard way. His hands set steady at 10 and 2, turned signals crisp as a metronome on the 3-hour drive back from meetings in El Paso. Discipline meant survival. Darius learned that at 16, first license in his pocket, when a mile on any road could twist wrong. The odometer ticked past 212,000. Testimony tonight's traded for justice. The nearest station lay 20 miles behind. The last truck he'd seen, an old Ford hauling hay, had vanished 15 minutes ago. He was alone until red and blue flared silently in his mirror. No siren, just that pulse like a gut punch. Darius squinted against the glare, checked gauges again. Speed steady, fuel 3/4, nothing wrong. "Not again," he muttered, familiar dread punching through calm, a bitter echo of 5 other stops in the past year that started exactly like this. He eased onto the gravel shoulder. Stones crunched, dust bloomed. He cut the engine. The jazz hissed away. Desert silence pressed in, hot, heavy. He straightened his navy tie, fingers brushing his FBI shield in his jacket pocket, cold, steady proof he'd relied on for decades. The mirror caught a figure stepping from the cruiser, tall silhouette rimmed by the sunset's last gasp. Darius braced as Officer Travis Harlan came into view, badge glinting like a dare under a sweat-stained hat. Harlan was wiry, late 30s, sunburned neck peeking above navy collar, lip curling in a smirk that didn't bother hiding contempt. A small-town tyrant swagger, the kind that believes the highway belongs to him. No polite knock, no flashlight sweep. He planted boots 2 feet away and barked, "License and registration, boy," like a slap. Training tucked Darius's anger behind a wall of practiced calm. "Can you tell me why you pulled me over, officer?" he asked, reasonable, lawful. Harlan leaned closer, shadow spilling through the window, breath sour with chew, and hissed, "You people always think you're above the law." His fist crashed onto the hood, metal buckled with a sharp clang. A grapefruit dent bloomed, ugly and deliberate. Darius's jaw tightened, knuckles blanched around the wheel. He'd seen this script, malice primed to explode. The sky deepened. First stars pricked black velvet. Something terrible gathered. Darius sat rigid, desert heat pressing through the window. Harlan loomed over the fresh dent, a jagged glint under faint starlight. The air still hovered near 90, dry and claustrophobic. He kept breathing even, hazel eyes on Harlan's smirk, steadiness forged through standoffs and interrogations. "License and registration, boy," still hanging like a rotten note. 5 stops this year. countless since Atlanta's streets. He knew his rights. He knew he'd been perfect on speed and signals. He also knew Harlan didn't care. Out here, coyotes were the only witnesses, howling somewhere distant. He moved deliberately, palms visible, drifting toward his wallet with the deliberate slowness learned over hard years, the kind that keeps funerals away. Darius lifted his license, the Texas seal catching dashboard light. His voice stayed even, steel under velvet. I'm a federal officer, FBI. There's a badge in the glove box. Not a boast, just fact, one that usually ended scenes like this with awkward apologies. Harlan didn't flinch. He snatched the license and flicked it into the dirt, plastic skittering across gravel. FBI? Sure, I'm the governor, Harlan laughed. The word boy landed again, slicing. Discipline locked Darius's features. Harlan yanked the driver's door open, metal creaking, and barked, Out! Now! Darius stepped out slow, hands raised to shoulder height, no sudden moves, 6'2", unfolding with quiet dignity that only sharpened Harlan's fury. Dress shoes crunched the shoulder, desert wind tugged the tie. Towering over Harlan didn't help. The cop chest bumped him hard, slamming him against the car. You don't belong on my road, he hissed, racism no longer coded. Pain shot up Darius's spine. He refused to react. Headlights flared in the distance. Another cruiser barreled in, dust stinging Darius's eyes as it screeched to a stop. Officer Noah Briggs climbed out, stocky, 30s, buzz cut, uniform tight across a barrel chest, nightstick tapping his thigh. What's this one, Trav? He chuckled. Harlan spun a lie without blinking. Resisting. Claims he's a big shot Fed. Briggs grinned like it was a joke he'd heard before and flanked the door, blocking Darius's path. I've complied with every... Darius started, but Harlan twisted his wrist, snapping cuffs tight enough to draw blood. Steel bit deep, staining white cuffs red. Briggs barked a flat laugh. Harlan leaned in, hot tobacco breath sour. This is just the start. You'll wish you stayed off my turf. The cuffs clicked closed, cold weight, heavier than metal. The system had allowed men like this to wield it unchecked. Darius's jaw set. His mind cataloged everything. Unlawful stop, slurs, assault, witness officer complicit. He'd climbed to lead Houston's office by outthinking bullies like this, never by folding. He still didn't raise his voice. He just kept breathing, watching, planning. Hey folks, what do you think? Should Darius have kept quiet, or was naming his FBI creds the right stand? Drop a 1 if you think he drew the right line, stood tall against Harlan's garbage. Smash that like if you're here for real justice, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, because it's about to flare. So what happens when his backup hears? Will it save him or pour gasoline on the fuse? Keep watching. This desert night isn't done, and neither is Darius Cole. Not by a mile. Darius hunched in Harlan's cruiser, desert shadows sliding by the grimy windows. Cuffs chewed deeper, steel edges slicked with blood crusting his torn shirt. 40 miles west of El Paso, the night still held stubborn heat. Vinyl stuck to his suit jacket. The AC whir fought a losing battle. Harlan drove, sneer twitching in the mirror. Briggs rode shotgun, snickering at some crude line about teaching this one. Darius kept his eyes on the rear view, on Harlan's tells. The baton strike across the sedan still pulsed along his jaw. 2 decades of pressure had taught him to breathe. The slur boy and you people pushed that calm thin as paper. His right hand, tucked under his thigh, found the tiny earpiece he'd kept from undercover days, black as a lentil, wired to a secure line. He rolled his weight, rooted it into place behind his ear. The cruiser's rumble masked the faint click. Harlan spit tobacco and bragged. Briggs scrolled his phone. Darius whispered, barely breath. Deputy Director Quinn, it's Cole, Highway 80, outskirts El Paso, illegal detention. I need backup now. The line crackled. Quinn's voice cut in, clipped and urgent. Coordinates locked. Bird inbound. 20 minutes. Stay alive. Relief flickered through adrenaline. Harlan jerked the wheel, carving onto a dirt road. Gravel pinged the undercarriage. 10 long minutes crawled by, then 15. Harlan boasted about putting the Fed in his place. A low thrum rose in the distance, rotor blades cleaving sky. Headlights washed white as an FBI helicopter swept low, spotlight freezing the cruiser in a blinding circle. Tires screeched. Harlan cursed. Briggs fumbled his phone, face gone slack. The helicopter hung 50 feet above, dust storming the night. A loudspeaker thundered, FBI, release the detainee immediately. Officers Harlan and Briggs, you are under federal observation. Harlan's bravado cracked. Sunburned face paled. He scrambled the cuffs open with shaking hands, muttering, Misunderstanding, sir, just a mix-up. Briggs stammered, We didn't know. Steel clattered to the floorboard. Darius stepped out, brushing grit from his suit, jaw tight, eyes lit with quiet triumph. Agents spilled from the landing bird, black vests, rifles ready. For a heartbeat, it looked like victory. He slid into his sedan, the hood dent a bitter trophy. The chopper shadowed him for a stretch as he aimed toward Houston. He let his shoulders drop, tension bleeding off at 70 miles an hour. In the rear, Harlan wasn't licking wounds. He was on the radio, voice low and venomous. Get this to the precinct now. Edit the dash. Make it look like he swung first. Within an hour, as Darius crossed the county line, a grainy cut-up hit the internet from an anonymous local account. 30 seconds of lies showed Darius stepping from his car, cut to look like he lunged first. Audio was dubbed, I'll kill you, pig. Harlan's shove vanished. The cuffs never existed. The caption, FBI thug harasses honest cop. Who's the real criminal? By midnight, 10,000 views, then 50, then 100, then more, spilling from El Paso forums outward. Comments curdled racist bile, conspiracy, smug ignorance. Darius pulled into a worn neon-lit station 50 miles from home. You seen this? Quinn texted. He watched himself twisted by a liar's edit. His hands trembled, not from fear, from fury. The smear cut deeper than the baton. El Paso's rumor mill already spun him into a villain. Old guard voices lapped it up. He realized Harlan wasn't a garden variety thug. He played angles. That dirty clip turned a rescue into a trap. The pump clicked off at 12 gallons. He didn't pull away. He watched the video loop, felt the truth go quiet beneath louder noise. This wasn't over. It was only getting meaner. He clenched his jaw and whispered to the night, Not today. Back on Highway 80, the shattered neon dwindled behind. The engine hummed at 70, 50 miles to Houston. Wind brushed the jagged crack lines along his windshield. Blood crusted on his cheek from earlier. The cuff welts still burned at his wrists. The doctored video, now past 100,000 views, burned hotter. The comments stung familiar. Thug, badgeless tyrant, send him back. He'd faced worse, but never with his face posted alongside. He watched mirrors out of habit. Even with the helicopter gone, he knew a second act would come. 2 sets of headlights appeared, then a third, drawing close with predatory patience. Darius eased to 60. They tightened. Instinct roared. Old survival wiring that had saved him in alleys and parking structures. The lead vehicle surged, a lifted pickup with mud-choked tires, a Confederate flag snapping in the wind. It pulled to his left. Another boxed right. The third pinned his tail. The road narrowed onto a rickety bridge over a dry riverbed 30 feet down. Wooden planks groaned. No room to slip. Faces flashed behind tinted glass, hard, cruel grins. He floored at 80, trying to break the box. The lead truck knifed ahead, cutting him off. He braked hard. A brick exploded through his windshield. Glass shattered inward like shrapnel. A shard nicked his cheek, blood running hot along his jaw. A voice bellowed from the truck, vile and hateful. Get out, you black bastard! The word hit like a second brick, fresh as Harlan's sneer hours earlier. Tires screamed. The sedan fishtailed. The drop yawed right. Black nothing. He yanked left, scraped the rail. Sparks spitting from metal into night. Heart pounding. Adrenaline peaking. He kept it on the boards. This wasn't a cartel ambush. It was personal, born of a viral lie. The pickups pressed tighter. One rammed his rear bumper, snapping his head. He floored it again. 90. The engine whine climbing. The end of the bridge rushed toward him. He punched through the gauntlet, tires biting asphalt, trucks lagging. Then a CB crackled from the lead rig. Harlan's voice, unmistakable, rasped over static. Finish him for me! Cold spiked Darius's spine. This wasn't random. It was orchestrated. The trucks peeled off, red glow fading. Darius raced toward Houston, blood dotting his lap, glass crunching under dress soles. He was alive, barely, and angrier than he'd allowed in years. Harlan had poison and reach, a doctored clip, a mob on call. He swiped the blood and muttered, You're going to regret this. It wasn't drama. It was a vow. All right, folks, do you think Darius should bring the hammer after that? Drop a 1 if you're rooting for him to break this racist machine. Like, share, subscribe, because it's about to explode. The silver sedan roared at 90, wind slapping through the spidered windshield. The desert held stubborn warmth at 85 despite the late hour. 40 miles to go. Blood dried on Darius's cheek. His navy tie dangled in tatters from the bridge scrape. Welts encircled his wrists like rings of fire. His hazel eyes scanned highway and mirrors, mind running 3 tracks: survival, evidence, leverage. That CB taunt proved a conspiracy he could hang around Harlan's neck if he lived to present it. He breathed, reset his grip, and made a choice. He slowed. 60 rolled toward an El Paso precinct he knew from joint operations. A squat brick box off the interstate, the kind with strong detectives who'd worked cartel cases shoulder to shoulder with his Houston team. He pulled in, tires crunching gravel, hood rattling. He looked a mess, but his badge outweighed bruises. He slid from the car, winced as shoes hit pavement, adjusted a torn jacket still heavy with the shield he'd carried 22 years. The neon sign scrawled green across the lot. He strode to glass doors, jaw locked. Inside, the desk sergeant, thin white guy with a gray mustache, barely glanced up from his coffee. State your business, he drawled, more boredom than duty. Darius set his FBI credential on the counter. Gold flashed under fluorescence. His voice stayed calm through the ache. Darius Cole, Houston FBI Special Agent in charge. Unlawful detention by Officer Travis Harlan. Then a coordinated assault. I need the watch commander. The sergeant looked from badge to blood-stained shirt to torn lapel. He nodded slow. All right, Fed. Sit tight. He flicked a pen toward an interview room. Darius stepped into a cramped box, peeling paint, bolted metal table, air stale and warm. The door clicked behind him. For the first time all night, a thin thread of hope unspooled. 2 officers entered 10 minutes later, both white, uniforms crisp. Officer Wyatt Greer, tall, lean, scar ridging his knuckles. Officer Shane Burke, stockier, buzz cut, smirk not reaching his eyes. Heard you had a rough night, Mr. Cole, Greer said. We'll look into it. Burke's pen scratched loud, note-taking theater. Darius laid it out, facts clean, timeline precise. Greer's eyes narrowed, while Burke's smirk deepened. The door lock thudded. Greer turned the key with a chuckle. Harlan's our brother. You're nothing here. Darius's stomach fell. Burke stepped close and spat in his face, wet and hot where blood already ran. FBI don't mean nothing to us. Darius wiped it off, slow, deliberate. Betrayal stung worse than the earlier beating. Greer dialed a number, grinned sharp. Trav, you'll love this. He's here. An hour later, Harlan strutted in, face redder, nightstick twirling, lips curled. He didn't speak. He swung. The baton cracked across Darius's jaw, a white-hot blast that snapped his head back. He crumpled against the chair, copper pooling in his mouth. Harlan leaned in, breath rank and words poisonous. Thought you'd snitch? Thought that shiny badge would save you? Another swing hammered ribs, a dull thud that stole breath. Vision blurred. Training grabbed the wheel, kept him awake, counted exits. This wasn't a fight to win through pride. It was survival, pure and simple. The fluorescent buzz grew deafening. The walls hummed. He let anger distill into purpose. The room stank of sweat and cheap coffee. Greer and Burke lounged near the door, arms crossed, smirks glued on. The nightstick tapped Harlan's palm like a metronome. Darius's right wrist scraped the chair's metal. He felt it, one cuff pin slightly bent, a sloppy oversight. He tested it with a bloody thumb. The lock gave a whisper. He coughed to mask the click, wet and ragged. Harlan prowled, ranting about place and respect. Greer chuckled. Burke scrolled his feed. 3-on-1. No weapon. No cavalry now. But surprise remained. He waited until Harlan turned to laugh at a Greer quip. Darius launched from the chair like a sprung trap, elbow driving into Harlan's throat. The nightstick clattered. Burke lunged. Darius swung the chair hard. Metal smashed Burke's temple with a sickening thud. Burke collapsed. Greer came swinging. Darius ducked, drove a knee into Greer's gut. Breath whooshed out. Darius ripped the keys from Greer's belt and bolted, jammed the lock, twisted, yanked the door. "Stop him!" Harlan croaked, clawing for his radio. Darius was already gone, blood trail faint on tile. The hallway blurred under buzzing lights. The desk sergeant jolted as Darius flashed past, coffee spraying. He hit the lot, lungs burning, night air like a furnace. A patrol car idled 20 feet away, rookie on a smoke break somewhere. Darius dove in, slammed the door, stomped the pedal. The cruiser fishtailed, gravel spitting as it clawed for asphalt and screamed onto the interstate. Heart hammering, he grabbed the radio and flipped to a secure FBI channel. "Quinn, it's Cole. Precinct's dirty. Harlan's crew beat me. I'm out and heading east. Send a team." The line crackled. "Copy," Quinn said. 60 miles out. Stay low. We'll meet you." Relief skimmed Darius's nerves. Then the police scanner erupted with a statewide blast. "All units, be advised, FBI SAC Darius Cole wanted for assaulting officers. Armed and dangerous. Last seen fleeing El Paso precinct in stolen vehicle." Chatter followed. "Suspect attacked 3 cops. Critical." Darius's stomach knotted. He hadn't killed anyone. Burke was unconscious, not dead. The lie raced ahead of him. In the side mirror, he caught his reflection, bloodied, wild-eyed. The fugitive they'd invented. Sirens wailed somewhere behind, closing. County cars responding to their own fiction. Harlan's voice cut through the scanner, smug and sharp. "He's a dead man. Find him. Finish him." The taunt turned the whole state into a hunting party. Darius ditched the radio and pressed the cruiser harder. The speedometer climbed past 95. The desert smeared into shadow and brush. He was alive, behind the wheel, but his name was burning down in real time. He needed a plan that changed the story before it swallowed him whole. Folks, can he outrun a frame-up when the badge is twisting the megaphone? Drop a 1 if you still believe Darius can flip this script. Like, subscribe, share, because the next stretch gets brutal. This is bigger than one dirty traffic stop. It's about the machine. And our guy? He's not built to fold. Back to the chase. The cruiser 8 miles. His options narrowed. He couldn't run forever. He needed witnesses, cameras, neutral ground. Something Harlan couldn't poison with a phone call and a lie. He scanned the horizon, thinking angles. An open 24-hour truck plaza loomed ahead. Halogen glare, cameras, crowds. He pushed toward it, then veered last second, instincts tugging him off the obvious. If Harlan's net closed there, he'd be boxed, broadcast live. He took the frontage road, cut behind a shuttered tire shop, and killed the lights. The cruiser rolled into deep shadow beside stacked pallets. He popped the trunk for a basic medkit, gauze, tape, cheap antiseptic, patched the cheek slice, and wrapped his wrists tight enough to dull the fire. He breathed and listened. Sirens chased elsewhere. The scanner's chorus dopplered away for a minute, then crept back. He couldn't hide long. He stripped off the stained tie and jacket, shoved them under the seat, and slid behind the wheel again. He needed proof that would outshout Harlan's disinformation. Unalterable proof. The precinct had cameras in hallways. If Quinn's team secured the system, chain of custody could hold. But getting there required not dying on this road. He checked the mirrors, rolled into motion, and rejoined the access lane, keeping the speed a shade above lawful. Blend, survive, advance. Heat still pressed through the cracked windshield. The clock ticked forward. The night refused to cool. He reached for mundanity, counted highway reflectors, scanned for mile markers, tracked exits like beads in a rosary. A county car ghosted onto the frontage road 200 yards back. No lights, subtle. Darius assessed distance, angles, timing. He signaled, took the next ramp clean, merged with a tractor-trailer convoy, and tucked behind a long reefer. The cruiser's black and white shape vanished in the truck's shadow. He exhaled. Quinn, status? He whispered into the secure line. 2 vehicles, 6 agents inbound. 10 out, Quinn replied. We're on Highway 80 eastbound. Coordinates pinned to your signal. Meet at Beacon Exit, Old Way Station. Darius watched signs stream by. 5 miles to Beacon. He threaded between rigs, kept the cruiser quiet. The county car hung back, uncertain. Good. The exit rose like a relief valve. He signaled early, glided off. The way station squatted dark beside the highway, chain link fencing rattling in the breeze. He rolled in, cut lights, coasted to the far corner, engine idling low. He waited, counting slow. Headlights skimmed the chain link, then dipped. Unmarked SUVs ghosted in, doors popping open soft. Agents in vests fanned out. Quinn slid from the lead truck, compact and composed, eyes raking Darius's bruises. You look awful, she said, but alive. Darius managed a ghost grin. Harlan's running a play. Dirty stop assault, doctored dash. He told it fast. Mob on the bridge. The CB order. Precinct betrayal. Beating, escape. Statewide alert. Quinn didn't interrupt, her jaw set. We need hospital photos. Today's timestamp, your statement, and the precinct's cameras secured. Then we go loud. Before that, Darius said, Harlan's net is watching this channel. Move me clean. They'll spin anything. Quinn nodded to a medic who dabbed antiseptic and snapped photos. Cheek, wrists, ribs, jaw. Time-stamped on a digital card. We'll mirror this to evidence cloud immediately, Quinn said. You ride with me. Leave the cruiser. It's compromised. Darius slid into Quinn's SUV. Agents took positions. They rolled out in a quiet convoy. No lights. The night widened ahead. The plan had shape. Secure footage, plant the facts, then drag Harlan into daylight, paperwork and all. The convoy merged, careful, maintaining legal speed. The desert slipped by, indifferent. Darius breathed through aching ribs and reviewed the timeline again for holes. Every tiny detail mattered now. Angles, distances, times. We should expect more roadside theatrics, he said. Quinn nodded. I've notified the U.S. Attorney. If we grab the precinct's servers before they malfunction, we'll have corroboration. If they're gone, we present that pattern too. Darius looked at the side mirror, then forward. Harlan's not just reckless. He's organized. He had a video editor on standby. Quinn's mouth thinned. He had co-signers. That precinct, maybe parts of the county. We'll peel it. The road ahead opened to another lonely stretch. Then blue flickers winked far behind, then multiplied. Sirens rose again, sharper, closer. We're about to gain company, an agent radioed. 2, maybe 3 units, Quinn exhaled. They'll invent cause. Darius reached into a go bag under the seat, strapped a spare body cam to his chest, and flipped it on. If they want theater, he said, we'll roll cameras too. Counterspin in real time. The county cars fanned in. Lights blazing, sirens cranked, loudspeakers barking for a stop. Quinn didn't oblige. She radioed a code to a state patrol supervisor her team trusted. We're in a federal transport with a federal detainee, she said curtly. We will stop at the next state-maintained rest area. Cameras on. The county units boarded the convoy, aggressive but uncertain. They wanted a roadside spectacle. Quinn refused the stage. Darius's jaw throbbed. He kept his breathing steady. They want the optics, he murmured. We'll pick better lighting. The rest area rose like a stage with 1,000 eyes. Security cameras webbed the canopies. Vending machines glowed. Families crossed with coffees. Truckers stretched. Quinn signal clicked right. The convoy slid beneath the lights and braked in disciplined angles. County cars boxed them. Loudspeakers screamed. Quinn exited with palms open, badge high, body cam blinking hard red. Agents followed suit, measured, visible, professional. Darius stayed seated until Quinn waved him out, then stepped into the fluorescence. Bruises stark. People looked. Phones lifted. The county guys had an audience they didn't control. Hands where I can see them, a deputy yelled, voice shaking more than he hoped. Quinn's voice cut like a metronome. We are federal agents transporting a federal employee to medical care. We will not consent to a roadside search. We will, however, accept an escort to St. Martin's Hospital. Your cameras see what ours see. A dozen phones caught it all, angles multiplying across timelines. The deputies looked at each other, trapped between orders and optics. Stand down, a calmer voice radioed from somewhere behind the county line. They hesitated. Someone recognized Darius, maybe from the bad clip, maybe from real news. That's the guy, a man whispered, uncertain now. Darius met eyes, not pleading, just steady. He'd learned long ago that dignity could carry further than arguments, especially under cheap lights. We're moving, Quinn said, escort or not. The county lead clenched his jaw. You take the hospital, we'll follow. It wasn't a win, it was breathing room. The convoy rolled back out. Darius's chest eased a fraction. One small piece of narrative had refused to bend to Harlan's script. The hospital's bright bay took them in. Nurses hustled. Paperwork sprouted. A doctor probed gently, ordered scans, taped ribs, documented bruising with clinical precision. Quinn mirrored body cam footage to an evidence portal. We've got the way station timestamp, the rest area cams, and the medical clock, she said. We'll pull the precinct logs next. Darius lay back for a moment and blinked at the ceiling tiles. Felt like breathing in glass, he said. Quinn nodded. We'll turn it into paper. Paper, in the end, still moved mountains in rooms without cameras. Outside, the county cars idled. Their engine hums a petulant chorus. Inside, a federal tech team arrived with imaging gear and sterile evidence bags. They cataloged the torn tie, the bloodied jacket, the glass dust embedded in fabric. Everything gets boxed, sealed, logged, the lead tech said, voice even. Darius signed chain of custody forms with stiff fingers. He didn't feel like a man turning the tide. He felt like a man refusing to drown. When we're done, Quinn said, we go for the precinct server. If it's wiped, we'll show the wipe. The doctor cleared Darius for transport. He stood, winced, breathed through it. Quinn updated him as they walked. U.S. Attorney wants everything by dawn, she said. I told her dawn's generous. Darius nodded. Harlan's editing team can push 3 lies by breakfast. Quinn gave a half shrug. Then we push 4 truths by midnight. They rejoined the convoy. Outside, a handful of onlookers watched them step into the night. You okay, man? Someone asked softly. Darius nodded. One tight cut of the chin. He was anything but okay and still moving. Back on Highway 80, the SUVs floated at the limit. No excuses, no hooks. The county cars shadowed at a distance, chastened by cameras. Darius asked, What about the bridge? Quinn replied, Dot cam's dead there. But there's a ranch with a gate camera on the north approach. We've got an agent en route. Darius's mind ticked forward. The CB band may have captured Harlan's order if a trucker records. Quinn smiled without humor. I miss the days when bad guys didn't live stream their felonies. Darius huffed. They still do. Different platform. Beacon Tech says the precinct's system backs up hourly, an agent radioed. If the box is intact, we'll grab the last 4 cycles. Quinn's knuckles whitened on the wheel. If it's not, then we document the sudden outage at the moment the Fed was assaulted, the agent said. Darius closed his eyes for a beat. He could feel the baton again. He opened them and watched the desert roll. They'll claim I attacked them, he said. They already are, Quinn replied, but their faces were calm when they walked in that room. They reached the precinct, with dawn still hours away. The building sat under tired lights, brick shoulders hunched, neon buzzing. Quinn's team fanned out with a federal warrant. The desk sergeant looked pale now. We had some camera trouble, he stammered. Quinn didn't blink. Of course you did. Open the server room. He twitched. It's locked. Unlock it, she said, flat as a gavel. Greer appeared in the hallway, knuckles flexing, eyes narrow. Burke limped behind, head bandaged. Harlan was conveniently absent. Morning, Greer drawled. Rough night? For you, Darius said. The server closet door swung open. The rack's indicator lights blinked, except for the DVR shelf, dark as a tomb. Fresh scorch on the cord. Power anomaly, the sergeant said, voice hopeful. The tech crouched, sniffed. That's not a surge. That's a yank. He slid the unit free. The drive cage was empty. Quinn didn't raise her voice. Chain of command. Who holds keys? The sergeant swallowed. Harlan. Greer. Burke. Greer smiled like a bad coin. Burke stared at the floor. Okay, Quinn said. Then we will interview you with counsel present, all of you. You're making a mistake, Greer snapped. We are cooperating. You're obstructing, Quinn said, still mild. Every second you delay is a second we document. Agents mapped the hallway cams that did work, captured who went where and when, building a spine of timeline. Darius stood in the doorway, bruised and unbowed, absorbing the cadence of procedure, doing its slow, relentless work. He thought of the bridge, the brick, the bricklayer. He thought of a CB radio hiss and a voice. Finish him. He wanted the tape. He'd settle for the truth. Folks, if you're still here, you know the score. This isn't just one dirty badge, it's a network. Drop a 1 if you want to see every link pop like weak solder. Share this story if you believe sunlight is still disinfectant. Back to it. Quinn's team tagged evidence, boxed logs, mirrored what remained of the system. An assistant U.S. attorney arrived, eyes flint. We'll seek arrests before sunup if we can, she said. Greer flinched. Burke swallowed again. Find Harlan, the AUSA added. He's the keystone. Pull him. The arch groans. A deputy wandered in, jaw tight. Harlan's off duty, he said. Phone's off. He's on the road, Darius said, or sleeping like a man who expects to wake untouchable. The deputy's mouth quirked, not quite a smile. Road, then. Quinn's team split. One group combing the precinct, another rolling to Harlan's house with a judge's ink still damp. Darius sipped cold water and tasted metal. We need the ranch gate cam, he said, and any trucker who archives CB. The AUSA nodded. We've pinged the platforms for the doctored clip's origin, too. It routes through a sheriff's office IP, a tech called. Triumph and anger threaded. Silence rippled. The sergeant closed his eyes. Greer stared at the floor. Burke swayed. Procedural machinery clanked into higher gear. Subpoenas widening. Phone dumps queued. Darius felt a strange calm settle. He had hated tonight's helplessness more than pain. Now small levers moved. We'll need a statement, the AUSA said. Clean, chronological. We can record now. Darius nodded. He spoke slowly, clearly, without embellishment. A man who knew stories mattered most when they were simple and true. By the time the recorder clicked off, the sky had paled a shade toward morning. The ranch gate owner texted, Camera footage ready, shows 3 pickups boxing a sedan on the bridge, time-stamped. A trucker messaged one of Quinn's agents. He habitually records CB. He'd caught someone saying, finish him. The AUSA's eyes lit with the particular joy of proof. We're almost there, she said. Darius exhaled, ribs protesting. Almost, he agreed. Harlan still thinks he controls the ending, though. Quinn smiled without warmth. Then we'll rewrite it before breakfast. The county lead stepped into the hallway, hat in hand, shame like a shadow. We're standing down on the statewide, he said. Dispatch pulled the alert. We'll cooperate with your office. It wasn't contrition, it was survival. Darius clocked it and didn't care. He wanted the truth locked airtight. He glanced toward the exit, toward the sun coming, the road beyond, Houston farther still. The AUSA turned to him. Rest. We take the next steps from here. He nodded. He was tired. He was wired. He was not done. Darius stepped outside. Dawn threatening the eastern rim. Cool finally moving through the desert. The station's neon sputtered once, then went quiet. He touched the ache at his jaw, the rough wrap at his wrists, and breathed air that tasted less like smoke. Somewhere a helicopter chopped toward them. Somewhere else a man named Harlan ran out of road. Folks, was Darius right to hold the line and force sunlight onto the lies? Drop a 1 if you're with him. Like, subscribe and stay tuned. This story stops here, for now. In the El Paso unit, the needles kissing 95 as Texas emptiness blurs into a star-blasted void. 40 miles shy of Houston, the cruiser's beams rake cracked I-10 asphalt. Warm air knifes through the window, drying the blood crusting Darius Cole's cheek and the fresh split across his lip from Harlan's baton at the precinct. His white shirt's a wreck, ripped red, ruined, his navy tie, a shredded ribbon. 6'2" and hurting everywhere, he's been turned from SAC to fugitive in hours. The statewide alert keeps hissing. Cole, armed and dangerous. Sirens wail somewhere behind. Faint, then closer, like a pack catching scent. Darius's hazel eyes flick to fuel. Half a tank, maybe 12 gallons. Enough if nothing else goes sideways. But the road isn't what his mind grips. It's Renee, 15 years married, and their 13-year-old Malik, home in a quiet neighborhood off the Gulf Freeway, unaware a doctored clip and a manhunt have turned their name radioactive. He ditched his phone leaving the precinct. Still, glove box, old op, burner flip. He snaps it open, breath ragged, and dials, praying the line holds. Pick up, he rasps. Rings stretch, then Renee, sleepy, instantly sharp. Where are you? It's after. Pack a bag, take Malik. Drive to Carla's in Austin. Now, he cuts in. No questions. A beat, a rush of sheets. Then her breath catches. Framed? What are you? The line dies. In a ripping burst of static, he redials. Silence. Cold dread spikes. 50 miles away in Houston, Renee stands barefoot on hardwood, cordless buzzing a dial tone, blinds cracked at a calm street. Upstairs, Malik sprawls with comics, oblivious. Headlights flood their driveway. 3 SUVs scream up, doors flying. Black vests pour out. Lasers skitter across clapboard like angry fireflies. The front door explodes under a ram. Voices boom. Houston PD. Hands! Renee drops, knees cracking. A gloved hand pins her. What is this? My son? Mom! Malik yelps, dragged down in pajamas, wrists wrenched, comics raining like confetti. The lead, Sergeant Ethan Voss, square-jawed, unsmiling, barks orders. Cushions rip, frames shatter, drawers overturn. Your husband's a mule, Voss sneers. Where's the stash? Renee shoots back, steel in her voice. He runs the office, genius. Voss laughs empty, digs out a pristine brick, theater-perfect plastic-wrapped powder, and thuds it on the coffee table. Found it. Looks like you're part of it. Cameras flash. Evidence is bagged. Malik sobs through the cuffs. Dad didn't. Voss radios, cool as ice. Family detained. Narcotics secured. Tell Harlan we're done. 50 miles out, Darius hammers the gas, the dead flip phone rattling in his palm. The scanner spits a breaking report. Houston, home of FBI SAC Cole raided. Wife and son detained. Drug seizure tied to El Paso assault. Then Harlan's drawl hits a live feed, thick with crocodile shame. He disgraced the badge. My heart breaks for this city. Darius's knuckles bleach. Blood drips onto his lap. A reporter outside their house shows Renee's blurred face and Malik's small shoulders as they're loaded into a van. A payphone looms, a rusted sentinel 30 feet off the interstate. He jerks the cruiser in, slams quarters, punches Quinn's secure line. They planted narcotics on my family, he growls. Harlan's orchestrating. I need you now. Team's en route, Quinn snapped. Hold tight. He drops the receiver. The night presses. 80 degrees, sticky as grief. 40 miles shy of Houston, his stolen unit idles, fuel bleeding. His shirt's shredded, his jaw throbs, his ribs ache like lit coals. He hasn't felt rage this pure since he hauled his first kingpin 22 years ago and swore no one would touch his own. Quinn crackles back. Safe House 50 Southwest. Cords inbound. Darius doesn't wait. He slams the door, eyes burning at the thought of Renee in cuffs. That immaculate kilo staged for cameras, Harlan's fake tears. He turns southwest and flies. He ditches the cruiser in mesquite off a rutted track and limps to the low-slung bunker sunk in scrub. Steel door yawns. Quinn waits with 6 in vests, rifles slung, faces tight. Renee and Malik are in holding, she says, jaw set. Locals are stonewalling. Voss is gatekeeping. A tech shoves over a hardened tablet. Precinct feeds already in their crosshairs. Darius wipes his lip, taste of copper sharp. Then we punch, he says, a voice steady. 20 years of tactics snap back. In an hour, warrants are inked, earpiece audio cloned, sting packaged tight. At 3 a.m., rotor blades chew the dark. Darius straps into Kevlar, ribs screaming, focus scalpel clean. They hit at dawn under bruised purple sky. Flashbangs pop, smoke crawls, agents flow. Darius limps through the chaos, Glock leveled, eyes on Harlan's door. He boots it in mid-rant, Harlan on a call. Tell Voss to bury the wives. You're finished, Darius says. Harlan freezes, sunburn paling, then tries a smirk. Dead man walking, he mutters as cuffs bite. Briggs cowers in a corner and gets ironed too. News choppers circle. The state watches. Under spinning blades, the arrest goes live. Harlan's badge comes off. His swagger finally cracks. Briggs babbles apologies. Darius stands bruised but upright, while the rot gets hauled past a lens that never blinks. For a heartbeat, relief loosens his chest. Renee and Malik will walk. The nightmare that started on Highway 80 will finally cough up justice. He steps into gray gold sunlight. 85 degrees warms his blood-flecked face. Agents clap shoulders. Quinn nods. He's cooked. Minimum a decade. That's when the crack slashes the air. Sniper, high, precise. The round scalds through his vest, grazing shoulder, hot wire ripping flesh. Darius drops to a knee as agents explode into motion. Rooftop! Someone shouts. Another round whines and finds only brick. Paper flutters down, lands in dust by his boot, black ink crawling. You're next, traitor. Quinn's team returns fire. The shooter slips like smoke. Harlan, cuffed 20 feet away, watches through glass, lips forming a smug promise. Not over. Darius stares at the note, at the handwriting's ugly certainty, and understands that Harlan was never the endgame. He was the tripwire. Whoever took that shot knew our timetable, Quinn says, dragging him under cover, blood soaking gauze. Darius's gaze burns. Then we move faster. Harlan's yanked to a wagon. Briggs follows, pale. The precinct's facade bleeds bullet scars. Smoke ghosts the eaves. Sirens bounce around brick canyons. The victory tastes different now, metallic, provisional. Darius exhales, pain knifing ribs. This was a signal, he says. We cut one artery. The heart's still beating. Quinn taps her radio. Lock the perimeters. Track that roof exit. And get me Voss. Now. Somewhere, a bigger hand is dealing. Hours later, a courthouse breathes like a boiler, standing room only. 200 bodies cram wood pews, whispering stacks like hornets. Darius, freshly bandaged under a clean jacket, steps to the stand. He's 6'2", jaw bruised plumb, ribs tender, eyes shadowed, anger distilled into discipline. Across the aisle sits Travis Harlan in a cheap gray suit, wire-thin and defiant, pale neck raw against collar. His lawyer, Ray Carver, smirks like a man who bills by the smokescreen. Judge raps the gavel. Quinn nods once. Darius lifts his palm and swears. Evidence lands like bricks. The earpiece capture from the stop. Hallway logs showing Harlan entering the interview room. The finish him call bouncing across a CB channel. Sworn statements, chain of custody, neat as a ledger. Prosecutor Carla Ortiz moves like a metronome. Illegal stop, baton assault, Dr. Dash bridge ambush, precinct betrayal, family raid, all tied to Harlan's badge and bile. Darius testifies flat, exact. He called me boy. He cuffed me for nothing. He swung until the baton broke skin. Then he aimed at my home. The room inhales. When grainy security plays, Harlan lifting the nightstick, Darius's head snapping, gasps ripple. Carver sputters about stress, overzealousness, provocation. The timestamps kill his angle. 3 hours grind by. The jury, 10 locals across ages, file out, file in. Guilty, the foreman reads, abuse of authority, aggravated assault, corruption, 10 years. The gavel hammers thunder. Darius exhales. Ribs hurt, but air finally reaches. Renee and Malik will be free, he thinks. The flame that started on that blank stretch might flicker out at last. He steps down into a room that refuses to cool. The back benches erupt, not cheers, but shouts. Cop killer! Traitor! Confederate tabs wink on sleeves. Echoes of that bridge. Deputies push. Order teeters. Darius's hand ghosts his holster. Hayes, for this hearing, grabs his wrist. Not here! The courthouse steps flood 60 seconds later. 78 degrees. Sun blades his eyes. Quinn squeezes his shoulder. We did it, boss. He nods. He forces a smile. He can almost hear Renee's laughter, Malik's crackling energy. Then the crowd surges. Bottles fly. One explodes on his bandage, glass biting. Pain blizzarding white. They scream the lie they were fed. You framed him. Get out. Flashback cracks like lightning. Bridge, brick, rail. Deputies finally hardline the steps. Batons out. The front buckles. The heat goes violent. Darius shakes shards from his sleeve. Blood beads anew. A courier elbows through. Thrusts an envelope. Seal glints. Official. Cold. He tears it one-handed. Warrant, it says. Evidence tampering. Federal investigation pending. Signed by Judge Aaron Voss, a name Harlan bragged about owning. Darius stares at the paper. Edges smeared red. They're continuing the play, suing him with the system he serves. The crowd howls. The gavel war inside and out never stops. Harlan's down, but the apparatus he greased still grinds. Voss is aligned with the sheriff who buried Renee's case. Darius crumples the warrant. Blood prints the seal. His team forms a cordon, but the harm's already landed. Optics, headlines, a legal choke. We're not done, Quinn says, jaw like rebar. We escalate. Darius nods once, numb and burning. He's won a battle and still feels prey. All right, folks, a voiceover might say. Did he see this twist coming? He doesn't wait for the media scrum. He slides behind the wheel of a pooled bureau sedan, floors it, 90, then 95. Desert trembles under noon's 92. 350 miles from Houston now. AC fights heat and loses. Gauze wicks pink through his jacket. Ribs jab, jaw grinds. The signature Aaron Voss scorches his thoughts. The mob's slurs slap back to back with the sniper's note, "You're next." In the mirror, Quinn and 3 agents a mile back in a black SUV, close enough to tail, too far to save a rollover. The burner hums. Quinn. Renee and Malik's charges are stalling. Voss's people are roadblocking. Then we outrun the net, Darius says. I'm 1050 out, deserts my window. Because the old alert, Cole wanted for assault, still poisons dispatch. Every badge is primed. Far horizon shimmers heat. 2 cruisers flare behind, lights cold, no siren. Deadlier. They eat distance at 110. El Paso livery. Harlan may be chained, but his leftovers run hot. Darius nudges 100. The road dips into a windy wash, sand braided across asphalt, a vicious throat. They hit him in tandem. First tap, then slam. Metal screams. The sedan fishtails. His shoulder smashes the door. Fresh blood bleeds through gauze. Second blow, harder. The wheel fights like a live thing. The sand grabs. Gravity yanks. He rolls. 1, twice. Steel howling. Glass detonating. Whirled in a blender. The car lands belly up in yellowed dust, hissing and ticking. for a paralyzed breath. He simply hangs, belt biting, mind hammering one word: move! His Glock is jammed under the dash out of reach. He smells oil and grit and heat. He unclips slow, drops hard. The world bends at the edges. He coughs a clot of dust and blood, shoulders screaming. Memories flash: night, silver sedan, hands high, flashlights, boy, and he's back in the same ugly pose. Palms visible, body ragged, lights cresting. The cruisers scream up. Doors slam. Officers Wyatt Greer and Shane Burke fan out, guns up, beams white hot. Out! Greer barks. Darius staggers into the wreck's shade, hands high. You think locking Trav buys you peace? Greer spits. Burke swings the familiar baton and detonates pain across Darius's temple. He buckles to a knee, blood hot in his eye. You're finished, he rasps. Bureau's inbound. Greer grins, feral. Not fast enough. A boot stamps his ribs. He rolls to sand, stars popping. Twin barrels hover inches from his face. He almost laughs, ugly and soft. You're digging your own graves, he says, buying seconds as rotor thunder whispers on the edge of sound. It's distant now, getting less so. A salvation on a timer. Greer doesn't hear it yet. Burke sneers, baton up again. The desert holds its breath for a gunshot. Tires scream, a different pitch. 3 black vans carve in, doors sliding. Men in tactical black vomiting out with rifles barking. Bullets stitch cruisers. Greer dives, cursing. Burke whips and fires. A round catches his chest. He folds into the sand without sound. Greer sprints into scrub. The gunmen advance, rounds clanging off the wreck. Darius crawls, ribs grinding, fishes his Glock, finds it, 6 left. He times a breath, exposes a sliver, pops 2. 2 figures drop. The air electrifies. Then rotor wash slams the scene, floods carve through grit. Quinn's team ghosts in. Controlled violence, rifles brapping. The black-clad shooters break, peel to their vans, burn rubber. 3 bodies stay. 1 cruiser smolders. Darius claws to his feet, thick with blood, Glock trembling. Who were they? Quinn demands. He shakes his head. Not Harlan, bigger. Because the moves don't feel small time. Sniper, planted brick, courthouse warrant, ambush in daylight. He wipes his brow. It comes back red. Greer's vanished. Burke's gone. The desert's loud, and then quiet. The chopper hum recedes. The sand holds the outline of a heavier boot. They strip a wallet from a dead shooter. No name, just a Texas number and a coiled snake star logo. Contractors, Quinn mutters. Funded big. Darius's mind clicks Voss. Planted coke. Harlan's call. The sniper's note. It's a lattice, and Harlan's a rung. A wounded shooter coughs. Quinn drags him to shade and zip ties. Buzzcut, snake tattoo crawling his neck. Darius leans close. Who buys your bullets? He asks. The man sprays blood when he laughs, then croaks. Warrick, Mayor Warrick, says you're bad for business. His eyes film. Quinn curses low. So that's the shadow. Clive Warrick, silver hair, 3 terms, mansion on the ridge, fundraisers, and slickback slaps, has shaken Darius's hand before cameras. The rumor mills whispered for years about his open lanes with cartels, his bench of judges ready to ink. It never stuck. Until now, a dying contractor says his name. Darius clips on a wire, breathes through broken glass ribs, borrows an SUV. 90 minutes later, dusk drapes the bluff at 88 degrees. Wrought iron gates snarl. 2 suits walk their shoulders big. Darius flashes gold and steps through. The fountain throws perfect arcs. Inside, marble gleams. Chilled air holds at 70. Warwick waits in a wood-rich study with crystal and leather, tailored and bored, bourbon in hand. Rough week, Special Agent, he purrs. I heard about Harlan. Tragic. Darius sits, wire humming voice, flat. Spare me the eulogy. You staged my family. You hired shooters. You ran Harlan like a gopher. Talk. Warwick chuckles, reclines. You're a problem, Cole. You sniff where money sleeps. Cartels pay me millions to keep doors open. Judges nod. Sheriffs salute. Harlan, cheap. Voss, Cheaper? Darius's hands knot. Warwick's eyes glitter. A decade I've owned this town. Your raids, your headlines are hiccups. I bury men like you, your wives, your kids, quietly. Every sentence drops onto the wire like gold bars. Darius rises, throat ash. We're done, he murmurs, soft to the mic. Tape's hot. We're good. And Warwick's smile fractures. He snaps. The study doors vomit 9 more in black fatigues, ARs spitting. Oak splinters. Darius dives. His Glock coughs twice. One falls. But he's pinned behind a bookcase that atomizes into teeth. The wire crackles. Quinn. 5 minutes out. Hold. 5 minutes can feel like 50. Bullets chew leather and oak. Marble coughs dust. The chandelier detonates into raining knives. Darius spots a bourbon bottle, still half full, slides it left, and smashes it. 2 shooters carve rounds into the noise. He snaps right, empties his last round through a throat, rolls, snatches the fallen rifle. 15 in the mag. He breathes. 3 quick bursts. 2 drop, then another, stuffing geysers from a sofa as rounds rake. He keeps moving, muscle memory and spite. He rides pillars like cover, flicks angles, double taps a chest, pops a head. 3 stand. His mag hits dry. 1 charges with a knife. Darius meets him, slams the stock into jaw, rips the blade, buries it in the second's gut. The room stills, but for blood's patient drip and the thick whump whump outside. He strips a spare mag, feeds it, and shoves through a side door into a garage, where Warrick fumbles Escalade keys with shaking manic fingers. Darius shoots a tire. Air screams. Done, he says. Warrick finally pales. Agents flood the drive as the chopper sets down hard enough to rattle chandeliers. Wristlocks click. Miranda rolls. News vans swarm the gate, drones bobbing, headlights slicing stucco. The Wire's confession goes live across feeds and living rooms. Warwick's "I own this place" slurs into the bloodstream. Deputies loop in the sheriff's office in a panic. Voss's courthouse darkens. Darius sags against Quinn's shoulder, pulse a hammer. "Renee! Malik!" he croaks. "Get them out!" "Already moving," Quinn says. "Charges dismissed. That dam broke fast." An empire begins to creak apart. Under the bluff's dying sun, it looks like the war is finally cashing out. Harlan sentenced, Warrick chained, money lines exposed, dirty badges peeled. Darius limps toward the convoy, world oddly quiet in his head. Exhaustion and a strange, hollow relief colliding. Sirens arc high and slip into distance. A figure steps from an SUV, Renee, braid loose and eyes cavernous. Malik beside her with a backpack clutched to chest, 13 trying to be 40. Darius's heart tries to run through broken ribs. He stumbles forward, apology already in his throat. Renee lifts a palm and stops him 10 feet out. She holds an envelope. The paper looks impossibly crisp for a world of blood and dust. "We're done," she says, voice even. He stares. "Renee!" The words won't fit. She presses the envelope into his hand. Divorce papers. Then steps back like he's radiation. "You saved the city," she says. "Not us. I can't keep raising our son in the blast radius of your job." Malik's eyes shine, jaw hard. "Dad!" He starts, then clamps it down. They turn. Taillights drag red into the desert. The Glock slides from Darius's hand and thuds in sand. Sound warps. Sirens, radios, rotors. Like he's underwater. He's toppled giants and cut pipelines, rewrote the night's script with proof louder than rumor. But he can't fix what months of 16-hour days, 3 a.m. calls, and a viral lie did to his home. Quinn squeezes his shoulder, gentle for once, and leaves space. A medic tapes new gauze. The sun finally drops, a thin bruise on the horizon. Darius stares into the ridge shadow and feels the cost write itself into bone. If you're still with us, yeah, this one hurts. Justice came, but it charged full price. Drop a 1 if you believe exposure matters even when it breaks you. Share if you want sunlight on systems that prefer dark. Back in the story, paperwork avalanches, arrest reports, evidence inventories, sworn statements, subpoenas, because paper is how rot gets moved out the door. Darius signs what needs signing, a man holding himself together with duty and a few threads of breath. The night presses cool. Somewhere a city exhales. Somewhere else knives get sharpened. Systems don't shift clean. They groan, stall, spit. Warwick's lawyers sprint to injunctions. Voss finds an attorney and a microphone. The sheriff retires to spend time with family before the ink's dry. But the wire's audio keeps hitting ears. I bury men like you. And regular people don't unhear that. Darius watches from a bench outside the command post, shoulder throbbing under fresh tape. Quinn dumps a coffee beside him. You did what only you could do, she says. He doesn't answer. He's thinking of a kitchen light and a cordless phone's dial tone. He thinks of the bridge, of a brick, of hands held high. He thinks of a payphone's greasy handset, a cheap flip, a line gone dead. He thinks of Malik's backpack, the hard way a kid holds dignity. He remembers the promise he made his rookie year. A badge means keeping others from bleeding, not bleeding everyone you love dry. He stands, slow. I'm filing leave, he tells Quinn. Take it, she says, not blinking. We'll mop. You heal. He nods, grateful and desolate. An odd pairing that fits like his jacket now, awkward, necessary. Dawn sees him on a motel balcony with coffee gone cold and a shoulder that won't settle. The city below looks washed, new paint over old rot. Headlines crawl muted across TV screens in the lobby. Mayor Warrick indicted. Judge Voss under investigation. Harlan sentenced. He switches TVs off and listens to his own breath for the first time in days. If justice is a fight, the fight can't be the only thing. He texts Renee a simple line. I'm sorry. No paragraphs. No argument. He doesn't expect a reply. He sends it anyway. He drops the badge and pistol into a hard case and stares at them, a life in metal and leather. In the glass, he looks older than 46. He is. He gathers what he can control, file the leave, sit with a counselor, call Malik's school, send court updates for records. He imagines the weight he set down and the weight he can't. His phone buzzes. Quinn again. Feds cleared Renee and Malik. City issued a statement. He breathes out something like relief and something like grief, because a press release isn't a home repaired. Folks, stories like this aren't tidy. Hate doesn't pack its bags after a verdict. It mutates. But so does truth. We keep receipts. We amplify receipts. We show up for each other when someone with a megaphone lies. Darius will go quiet a while. He'll heal ribs and shoulders in silences. He'll sit in bleachers if he's lucky, watch Malik run outfield, cheer too loud. He'll learn a softer job inside a hard life. And we, if we're smart, will stop pretending rot smells like roses just because it wears a suit and smiles. You made it this far, so here's the ask. If this story punched you, let it move you. Vote local. Read beyond headlines. Learn your judges' names. Don't share the clip that fits your anger just because it fits. Share the truth even when it doesn't scratch the itch. Tap like if you want more hard stories, more sunlight. Subscribe if you're the kind of person who believes that one voice, loud, persistent, documented, can pry a crooked beam out of the frame. The desert's quiet now, but listen, you can still hear the echoes. Echoes of boots on courthouse steps, of a bottle popped against bone, of a baton meeting skull, and the crowd's awful cheer. Echoes of a helicopter's rotor promising rescue, and a payphone promising nothing. Echoes of a mayor's smooth brag pressed onto a wire forever, of a judge's signature already starting to curdle under scrutiny, of a precinct door splintering when good cops finally push through. Echoes don't fade, they teach. Darius stands, slings his go bag, and leaves the balcony to whatever sunrise El Paso earns. He walks past a TV replaying his own footage, him stiffer, more defiant than he remembers, and clicks it off without a word. He's not interested in myth-making. He's interested in surviving, in making amends, in choosing the calls he answers. He checks an email from Internal Affairs, clinical, inevitable, and replies with a clean packet. Timelines, recordings, warrants, chain of custody. Give the process the dignity he wishes it gave everyone. He pockets the flip, old habits, and steps out to the hallway. A cleaning cart squeaks. The world does not pause for a single man. In the parking lot, wind drags dust devils across lines of sun-bleached sedans. Darius unlocks a government pool car they're letting him keep for a week. He slides in too carefully for a guy built like a linebacker and stares at the wheel like it's a question. He thinks about the first time he slid behind a bureau car's wheel, 24, buzzcut, foolish, believing right would be enough. He knows better now. Right needs receipts, needs backup, needs tenacity, and sometimes, God help him, it needs a camera with perfect audio. He turns the key. The engine coughs awake. He drives with both hands gentle at 10 and 2, the way he taught Malik when the kid begged to try in a parking lot last spring. The sky over the interstate is a pale, clean blue, like the city washed the smoke off. He heads nowhere in particular. A ranch road, a diner, a bench under an alive oak. He lets the miles air the grief out. He lets the adrenaline burn away so the ache can start to talk. And maybe, slowly, he can listen. That's our run, friends. From a crooked stop on Highway 80 to a wire that cracked a mayor, from a doctored dash to receipts you can't scrub, from a viral lie to a painful truth, every beat was paid in blood and paperwork. If you're heated, channel it. If you're tired, rest and rejoin. We'll keep telling these stories, messy, necessary, human, because justice isn't delivered. It's wrestled for, and it leaves a mark. Thanks for writing, Shotgun. We close this chapter here, on a road under big sky with work still to do. The two-lane diner smells like coffee and fryer oil, neon humming over cracked vinyl. Darius slides into a back booth, shoulder wrapped tight, leaving space between himself and the door. A flat screen loops Warwick's perp walk, while a line cook mutters, "'Bout time." A trucker in a grease-stained cap recognizes him, hesitates, then lifts a paper cup in salute. "Saw that bridge," he says, voice careful. "Ain't how they told it." Darius nods once. He's not hungry, but he forces down eggs anyway. Fuel for the long work of staying alive and staying useful. He parks across from Malik's middle school 10 minutes before last bell and waits, engine ticking. A cluster of kids pours out, backpacks bouncing. Malik appears, taller than yesterday somehow, eyes scanning, jaw set. Darius doesn't wave. He doesn't spook him. He hands a sealed note and a worn leather mitt to the office aide. "For Malik Cole," he says softly. The note is simple. "I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm working on me." He watches his son accept the bag, peek inside, blink hard, square up, and walk on without looking back. In a windowless conference room, Ortiz, Quinn, and a handful of auditors map a warboard of names: Harlan's arrests, Voss's rulings, Warwick's donors, contractors with snake and star logos. "We reopen every case that touched this chain," Ortiz says. "We're creating a public portal." Darius taps the board. "Add civilians to review, not just badges and suits," he says, "and fund counsel for anyone railroaded." Quinn slides him a pen. "You sure you want to keep pushing while you're on leave?" He signs anyway. "I set this fire. I'll help build the hydrants." Internal affairs runs quiet, clinical. "Walk us through the mansion entry," the investigator says, red light winking. Darius's voice is steady. "Wire authorization, exigent risk, imminent flight, officer's minutes out. You fired first?" "After rounds came through the desk," he says. "Then I transitioned to containment." "Would you do anything differently?" He doesn't flinch. "Bring a second SUV, but the tape mattered more than optics." A beat. "We'll issue a letter of caution on solo advance," the investigator says. "No suspension." He signs again. Responsibility is heavy, but it beats being hollow. At mile marker 240, where the road kinks and the shoulder surrenders to scrub, Darius pulls over. The afternoon wind slides hot across the flats. The guardrail still carries scar marks where sparks once flew. He ties a strip of blue ribbon, the color of Malik's old Little League jersey, to a post and lets it flutter. He doesn't pray. He's too mad for that. He does promise. To the asphalt, to the dust, to every stranger whose story got cut up and overdubbed. I will keep my receipts. I will keep showing up. That night, a community forum packs a church gym. Folding chairs scrape. Grief hums. A mother in a justice tee lists names like beads. A retired sergeant says the quiet stuff loud. Quotas, pressure, politics. Darius takes his turn with no speech in hand. I want a case, he says, voice rough. We haven't won the culture. He names failures, his own included. He points at budgets, oversight, cameras, youth jobs, public defenders. A teen with a buzz cut asks, "Why should we trust you?" "Don't," he answers. "Trust processes we can all see." Morning breaks on the courthouse, where Voss, suddenly pale, shuffles in cuffed hands. Reporters swarm. Darius watches from a bench across the plaza, baseball cap low, shoulder aching like weather. Ortiz moves with predator calm, filing motions, pinning timelines. The machine creaks towards something like accountability. Darius's phone buzzes. One text from an unsaved number. Renee. "We got the city's apology and the expungement confirmation. Thank you." He stares at the words until they blur. He types and deletes a dozen replies. He lands on two. "You deserved it. Always did." Therapy smells like peppermint tea and old rug. Dr. Larkin sits with an ease that doesn't crowd. "Hypervigilance kept you alive," she says. "It won't help you sleep." He talks about bridges and bottles, about letters he didn't send in time, about living on the edge of a scanner's hiss. She teaches a square breath, 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold, and it feels silly until it doesn't. "Grief's not a verdict," she says. "It's a landscape." He writes the words on a card and slides it behind his badge. Close to midnight, he parks 1 block from the house he's not welcome in and doesn't step on the porch. He sets a shoebox on the hood of Renee's sedan. Copies of court orders, Warrick's confession transcript, a prepaid card, a paperback Malik loved when he was 9, a note, "No door knocks out of respect. Call if you want." He photographs the drop for his own memory, then sits on the curb across the street for 3 minutes and 30 seconds, breathing squares, watching streetlights paint the oaks silver. Back at HQ, congratulations simmer like a pot he won't touch. Someone hung a banner, someone ordered cupcakes. Darius thanks the tech who mirrored the precinct feeds, the ASAC who wrangled judges at 3 a.m., the medic who taped him twice. He turns down a TV hit, turns down a commendation ceremony. "Promote the people who don't hold microphones," he tells Quinn. "Give the unit another analyst. Fund the case review." She eyes him, half smile, half warning. "Take your vacation days anyway." He shrugs. "I'll learn how." "Folks, we're not dressing this up. Victories bruise, but bruises fade, and policy pages don't. Darius isn't a statue. He's a tired man who chose to push receipts into sunlight. Harlan's cell door shut, Warwick's empire cracked, Voss's gavel silenced. None of it happened because the universe is fair. It happened because people demanded a ledger, then read it, then acted. If this story rattled you, let it redirect you. Volunteer court watch. Sit on a commission. Mentor a kid who loves center field. Be the neighbor who asks real questions. You made it to the end. If you're standing for truth that fights back even when it stings, drop a 1. Smash like so the algorithm doesn't bury this. Subscribe if you want more hard human stories told with receipts and heart. Share it with someone who still believes one wire, one body cam, one brave statement can bend a city. For Darius, for Renee and Malik, for everyone still stuck on somebody's edited tape, keep your eyes open and your paper straight. This chapter closes here as the work doesn't. Stay loud, stay safe. Lesson 1. Dignity under fire is strategy, not surrender. If you've lived long enough to see the evening news move from rabbit ear antennas to smart TVs, you know this already. Keeping your cool when someone abuses power isn't naive, it's survival. When Special Agent Darius Cole eased his silver sedan onto the shoulder on that 90-degree Texas night. He raised his hands high and kept his voice steady. 10 and 2 on the wheel, clear sentences, no sudden moves. That wasn't meekness. It was a clock he wound for himself. Every calm second giving him one more chance at a witness, a camera, a truth that would hold when the shouting stopped. Many of you remember that careful choreography on American roads in the 1960s and 70s. Hands visible, narrate your actions, yes sir, even when your stomach burned. Darius added something our generation learned the hard way. He treated every breath like evidence. When a baton dented his hood and the cuffs chewed his wrists, he didn't explode. He memorized. He logged the slur, the distance from bumper to bumper, the angle of a flashlight, the weak spots in a crooked story. He made himself readable to any lens that might surface later. For older Americans, the takeaway is practical and protective. Teach your grandkids the small scripts that save lives. Move slowly. Narrate what you're reaching for. Ask plainly, what's the reason for this stop? Request a supervisor. Keep a phone recording where it's lawful. Stay on the shoulder with the dome light on. Dignity isn't swallowing pride, it's keeping options open. A clean record of your own conduct becomes the backbone of any fight that comes after. On that desert road miles from town, Darius's calm kept him alive long enough to tell the story and to prove it. Lesson 2: Receipts beat rumors. Truth needs tools and neighbors. There's a reason so many of us still keep paper warranties in a kitchen drawer. Proof outlives opinion. The tools have changed: body cams instead of Polaroids, cloud backups instead of carbon copies. But the principle is the same. When a dirty traffic stop mutated into a spliced line clip that raced across the internet faster than gossip ever traveled down a church aisle, receipts were the rope that hauled truth out of the well. Darius whispered over a tiny earpiece to his deputy director. A helicopter spotlight froze the scene. Hospital photos documented every bruise with a timestamp. A warrant pried open a server room. Mirrored drives preserved what someone hoped to erase. A rancher's gate camera caught 3 pickups boxing in a sedan on a rickety bridge. A trucker's habit of recording CB chatter captured the order, "Finish him." Later, a concealed wire turned a powerful mayor's arrogance into his own confession. Notice the pattern. Every lie met a counter image. Every rumor met a clock. Every boast met a transcript. Without those receipts, a 30-second cut and paste would have defined a man and fed a mob. With them, prosecutors built a spine of facts that could stand upright in any courtroom. The internet is loud, paperwork is patient. Patient one. But receipts need neighbors. You've seen that spirit in church basements after floods and at VFW halls when someone passed the hat. The same thing happened here. A U.S. attorney moved before sunrise. Techs worked through the night to mirror evidence. Honest deputies decided they'd rather tell the truth than sink with the ship. Bystanders at a rest area lifted their phones and created a public square with 50 angles and no one in charge. Even the hospital, clerks, nurses, a tired doctor, did the old-fashioned right thing: document everything. Our generation can still lead. Don't argue with a rumor. Archive it, date stamp it, and answer it with something verifiable. Show your grandkids how to screenshot, how to back up a phone, how to forward an email thread without chopping off the headers. Vote in those sleepy, low turnout elections for sheriff, district attorney, and judge. Support leaders who publish stop data and discipline, not those who hide behind pending investigation. When someone you love is gaslit by an edited clip, be the neighbor who asks, "Where's the full tape?" Compassion without documentation gets steamrolled. Compassion with receipts moves mountains. Lesson 3: Winning a case isn't the same as healing a life. Gray hair teaches a stern arithmetic. Even righteous victories send a bill. After the handcuffs clicked onto the corrupt, and the evening news finally told the right story, Darius stepped into daylight that stung in a new way. He got his name back, but not his home. His wife Renee handed him an envelope on a hot driveway, divorce papers, not vengeance, just a mother's calculation to keep their 13-year-old outside the blast radius of his calling. Some of you have lived a version of that scene, a soldier who made it back in one piece but couldn't bring the war off his shoulders, a factory lead who saved the plant yet lost the marriage one misty dinner at a time. Being useful to the world can bruise the people under your roof. What then? First, refuse to romanticize pain. Sacrifice is noble. Hurt is not a medal. Darius did the unglamorous things our generation respects. He filed clean timelines with internal affairs so the process would have dignity even if it hadn't given him any. He sat in a quiet office and learned a square breath, 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold, so adrenaline would stop steering his days. He turned down TV hits and put his energy into a public portal to reopen every case touched by the rot. He insisted that promotions should reward respect and de escalation, not body counts and bluster. He brought civilians into the review room so the community could read the ledger with their own eyes. For those of us north of 65, this is where we can still change the weather. Model patience without passivity, steady pressure that doesn't burn out in a weekend. Revive the civic habits that kept towns from breaking, court watch calendars, precinct potlucks, knowing the names of local judges before scandal. Forces us to learn them. Write 2 checks, one to a youth baseball league and one to a legal aid clinic, because both make streets safer for the long haul. Call your grandkids and tell them why local ballots matter more than viral videos. The internet chases what's trending. Elders tend what's lasting. Brick by brick, record by record, relationship by relationship, we can build a place where a man like Darius doesn't have to choose between justice and his family. Slow, local, stubborn, that's the work, and it's still worth doing. Friends, you've seen how Darius held the line with dignity, turned rumors into receipts, and paid the very human cost of a public fight. Now I'd love to hear from you. In your own life, when have calm and documentation changed the outcome? At work, on the road, or in your neighborhood? What practical habits would you pass to your children and grandkids so they can be safe and still stand tall? Share your stories below. If this message spoke to you, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you won't miss what comes next.